And I'm back here, but we do have a severe thunderstorm warning now in effect for Green Lake County. Let me just double check. Want to get this right. Yes, for Green Lake County in central Wisconsin. Let's take a look at the storm, and we also got some other interesting features with the storm. As I said earlier, six. Oops, sorry, and I could hear myself. So once again, that is a severe weather thunderstorm warning for Marquette County. Excuse me, Marquette County, Green Lake, Marquette County are right next to each other, but that is important until 6:45 p.m. Severe thunderstorm was located 8 miles south of Westfield, or 13 or 14 miles north of Portage, moving northeast at 20 miles per hour. Right now, hail is the main concern. But I will point out that this is the magic hour of the evening where we have to be concerned with the potential of tornadoes. This is kind of that time of day where that happens. And there's some interesting features on the storm that's got me a little bit concerned. So let's go ahead and talk about that right away. Let's go over the radar. This is the cell we're talking about, kind of between Oxford. What's the other county or other city there? Endeavor, it looks like. I'm sorry, it's freaking out there a little bit. Monticello, Westfield, you are all in the strike zone of the storm. And a couple things to take note of this system. And sorry, you guys, I'm gonna have to move away from the screen for just a second. And you can see I'm holding my iPad just because one of my graphics is not updating right. Come on, there we go. Sorry about that. Anyway, let's take a look back at the radar real quick. Anyway, couple of things to note. Definitely some hail, strong returns here. Probably definitely hail in that area just east of Oxford, kind of between Montello and Oxford. Definitely some hail there. There is a classic signature that's called a hook feature that is very prominent in tornadic thunderstorms. There's a very weak hook. I don't even know if you consider this a hook, but it definitely kind of has that classic hook signature going on with it. Um, but beyond that, we have courtesy of WKOW 27 with Cascade Mountain. They have a webcam. Let's take a quick look and blow that up here. Hang on one second. You could definitely tell there is some structure to this thunderstorm, and if it can get its act together, that is definitely a wall cloud, and no reports of it rotating at the moment, but this is definitely a telltale sign that this storm has got its act together. And actually, let's go back. This might be our first tornado warning of the year, but it's too early to say. I don't want to hype this too much. But this definitely has a classic hook echo to it. And if we now go to the the velocity, you can see we also have a very broad rotation. This is very broad. I don't know if I would consider this a couplet, but definitely broad rotation to the thunderstorm. Let's see, 38 miles per hour going towards the radar. If green's towards, I can never remember. And then away from the radar, 31. So not the most intense couplet, but definitely some broad rotation in that area where we were starting to see a hook. And we also have the wall cloud the wall cloud that was indicated on camera. This picture taken about maybe 5 minutes ago, 5 minutes ago. So this storm definitely has potential to continue to grow, strengthen, and it's something we gotta keep an eye on. Let's go back to the radar real quick. Um, you know, if you're in this area, seek shelter just because we are under a severe thunderstorm warning. Just a severe thunderstorm warning at this time. But we're keeping a very close eye on this because it does show very weak rotation. I just want to emphasize that. Very broad. Right now, definitely in the upper levels of the storm. Nothing down below. No signs of funnel cloud. None of that. I just want to be very clear about that. But we are seeing very broad rotation. And this is one of those systems that, got to keep a close eye on and see how it evolves. Especially here in Wisconsin, could look good one radar paint, and then the next thing, has become downdraft dominant, and that's the end of that. Oh, and here we go. Tornado warning is being issued once again, just coming through right now, as I was saying. So please, hang on. I'm just gonna tweet real quick. Tornado warning, live coverage here. Alright, so let's get those details on the tornado warning at that storm system I was just looking at. Let's go back to radar real quick where the area of most concern is, and I'm going to highlight it. Pretty much right now, it's right between Oxford and Montello. Got a broad level of rotation here between Oxford and Montello. Very broad at the moment. I will put up that picture again of the wall cloud that we saw thanks to WKOW. Let me put that back up right there. That was we saw on camera, and obviously not hearing any reports of a tornado on the ground right now. This is all radar indicated, and I just got a paint radar refresh, so let's take another quick look at that. Yeah, and look at that, you guys. It's starting to tighten a little bit. When you see, let's take a look and expect that. 35, 38, 43, so a little more intense. So you kind of look at, especially you look at the high values next to the high red values next to the high green ones, and the tighter that gets and the more intense that gets, the stronger evidence that you have of a rotation. And I'm sorry, you guys, I gotta go ahead and try to update my map row here, which looks like it's having a hard time doing. Anyway, hopefully that comes through pretty quick here. Anyway, tornado warning. Let's go over the details of this tornado warning. If you are in Montello, Westfield, and it's going to be south of Westfield, but definitely if you're in Montello, seek shelter right away. Because there is a storm system with a tornado warning. No confirmed tornado at this time being, but definitely something to take a look at or be aware of. Gather your belongings, get to the shelter as soon as possible. Don't do anything stupid like opening windows or anything like that. You just want to gather your pet if possible and get into your storm ready shelter as quickly as possible. And what do we mean by storm ready shelter? Interior, the closer you can get into the interior of your building, the center of your building, the better. Basement preferably, center of your basement. That's the best thing you can do for yourself in these situations. But if you don't have a basement, try to get as many walls between you and the outside. And oh goodness, here we go. This is getting a lot more intense. We got definitely a couplet now, I would say, on radar heading towards Montello. So if you live in Montello right now, seek shelter immediately. And here is the area of biggest concern right here. I'm highlighting it right now. This is probably where we have the highest chance of rotation. This is where a tornado could be happening right now. I'm not seeing any reports of a tornado right now, but that doesn't mean that a tornado can not develop at any point in time. Just trying to see if there anyone with any questions on YouTube. Doesn't look like it. I wish my maps would update faster. Come on. And doesn't look like it. Anyway, sorry you guys. So if you live in Montello in Marquette County right now, seek shelter immediately. A tornado warning has been issued for your area. Just taking a look, seeing anything. Other locations that are included in this tornado warning: Oxford, Endeavor, Glen Oak, and Harrisville, it looks like. So if you are in any of those cities I just mentioned, seek shelter immediately. But here's the one thing we're definitely taking a look at is Montello. You guys are under the gun. I'm going to circle once again the area of interest right here. This is what we're looking at as far as where the strongest rotation on radar is being shown right now. But as I said just a couple seconds ago, nothing being reported. Although it looks like the storm warning did just get updated. Let's see. The warning just got updated. I'm taking a look. Still radar indicated. Nothing reported on the ground yet. But that doesn't mean a tornado warning in this situation that certainly can develop within an instant. So it's nothing to mess around with. If you are in Montello, in Marquette County, take shelter immediately. Once again, if you are in Montello right now, take shelter immediately. Wow, my maps are really not updating. That's lovely. But the radar is up to date. Just want to be clear on that. It's just other things on here might not be updating as fast as I want it to. Anyway. That's no good. It looks like we just got another radar paint update. Let's take a look back at the reflectivity because velocity is not always everything. Definitely some hail. Definitely, but this is not looking as beautiful as it was just a little bit ago. And I'll put this in motion. You can kind of see that little hook echo, especially when I was passing through Endeavor. That is something we look for, kind of the classic radar signature of possibly tornado developing. But right now, not as organized as it was looking maybe about 5 minutes ago. But that still doesn't mean this isn't a dangerous storm. And definitely, if you're in Montello right now, please be seeking shelter immediately. I hope sirens are going off. Not hearing anything right now. Not seeing anything on Twitter at the moment, which Twitter is a great tool to find out when things are going wrong, but isn't the end-all be-all. And the National Weather Service issues these warnings. Sorry. More updates. Trying to see if there's anything worth mentioning to you guys. Nothing at the moment. Let me highlight again the area of interest right now. Right here, south of Montello. This is the area that is probably of most concern right now. If you are living in Montello or south of Montello, or in Marquette County, it's definitely time to seek shelter immediately. Tornado warning has been issued, and it looks like we just got a radar paint update and the reflectivity. Whoops, sorry, and the velocity. It'll help if I press the right one. And it looks like right now the storm of the area of biggest concern is moving probably just due west of Montello, probably not going through town, but still, if you live in town in Montello, seek shelter immediately. Radar is not 100% accurate because at this point, the radar beam is looking up into the storm and rotation is always slanted, both horizontally and vertically, if that makes sense. So, when you're looking higher up into the storm system, as the beam, goes out kind of straight out, upward, if any of that made sense, it's looking higher up in the storm cloud the further out from the radar site. And I can actually zoom out and show you where the radar is. It is quite far away at this point, especially Green Lake and Marquette County. That's quite very high up in the atmosphere that's taking a look. But definitely showing signs of rotation, strong rotation, I would say, at this point. Doesn't mean there's a tornado on the ground. I have not seen any reports of a tornado on the ground. But certainly something to be taken a look at. Definitely something that needs to be, action needs to be taken now if you live in Montello. Definitely be seeking shelter. Let's see. After Montello, Princeton, you're definitely on the hook. Next, bro, I'm sorry if I'm butchering names. Berlin, definitely, if you live in this, Berlin, Princeton, even Green Lake, I would say. Take note of this storm right now. It's heading your way, but immediately, people living in Montello need to be seeking shelter immediately. Need to be seeking shelter immediately. All right. And the National Weather Service tweeting out, if you live in Montello area in Marquette County, please take shelter now. And that is 6:30. You are in the path of a possible tornado. Anyway, all right, let's do. All right. And I'm not sure, I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm not sure why my map is not updating in the lower third there. But once again, radar is up to date. Definitely up to date. 628 is the last radar. 629. So we're getting up to date. Okay, sorry. I see. So that's a problem with being friends on Twitter with a lot of weather people, is that someone else is chasing a cell out in Minnesota and they have a funnel cloud. But I want to repeat, no funnels being reported in Montello, where this is the tornado warning cell that we're focusing on right now. Earlier, around 6:15, let's just take a look. We had a wall cloud just north of Portage. Let's take a look at that real quick. So definitely some good structure in that storm, which is, initially prompted the tornado warning, and still on radar. Very good. Definitely. I'm so sorry. As I'm bouncing back and forth, I was trying to get back to the radar. Anyway, definitely need to be looking at taking shelter if you are in the Montello area. Once again, let's highlight the area, and this is including the town of Montello. So if you are in Marquette County in Montello, please be taking shelter right now. Let's go ahead and switch back to reflectivity, because reflectivity kind of gives you an idea of what the storm looks like. I would say right now it's it's definitely messier than it was looking. It's very possible that it's becoming downdraft dominant. One of the key signs that this is a possibility is we see a lot of development south of the circulation. But at the same time, sometimes when these storms, they go through different stages. They grow, they develop, they die. And sometimes to the south, they will restructure themselves to get that better access to the fuel that it needs. And sometimes circulations can develop there. So, a matter of fact, if we go back to the velocity, because the kind of area I'd be very interested in seeing, once again, this is the area that I'm kind of highlighting with this bubble tool here that's kind of the most in danger right now. Definitely the main concern of our system. But to the south of Montello, that would also be a very interesting area to take a look at. So let's go ahead and look at the velocity data. And I don't know if I would consider that a couplet. I think that's just probably, as we're looking at it now, maybe just the outflow boundary of the storm system. The main area of concern, once again, I'm just going to highlight, kind of just due west of the city of Montello, going over Montello. And that radar pane. Let's put this in motion. Sometimes it's easier to tell what we're looking at when we put it in motion. You can kind of see the strongest couplet was kind of in this area. And that would be kind of the path that was taking as we put the storm in motion. But now I'm kind of taking a look and seeing what's happening down here, kind of south, as the storm is kind of reorganizing itself. That would also be an area of concern that I would be taking a look at. But the straight line is where the path of the storm system that we were initially concerned of. Um, and the area circulated is also an area that I'd be very interested in. If you live in that area, I would be seeking shelter. Once again, if you live in Marquette County, you definitely need to be taking shelter, not only because of potential tornado threat, but because of lots of lightning, just tons of lightning. You can see it scattered about throughout the radar paint. So definitely need to be taking shelter. And if you live in Montello, you need to be in your basement or in the most interior part of your building, lowest floor. Get as many walls as possible between you and the outside. Don't be opening windows. Don't be opening doors. Grab your pet if you can. But number one safety concern is yourself. Get yourself, if possible, into the basement. And like I said, if not, get as many walls as possible between you and the outside. All right. I'm trying to see if there's any updates. Not seeing many, not from the National Weather Service. Nothing really going on here in Twitter, which doesn't really mean much. That is kind of a sparsely populated area of the state, but the town of Montello is definitely under the gun. And if we look to the north and east, Princeton, you're probably under the gun too if the storm keeps going. Neshbro, and I'm sorry once again if I'm in Berlin, but that's still ways away. I don't believe the storm would continue strengthening, especially kind of like in the pattern we're seeing right now. But Princeton around maybe 7 o'clock, and if it kept together, maybe Berlin at 7:30. But I doubt it would stay that long. And my web server, I think, completely crashed. So I'm sorry, you guys. The lower third is probably not updating like it should be. Or at least doesn't have the tornado warning in it, which is kind of weird. Not sure why that is. But once again, Marquette County in a tornado warning until 7 or 6:45. The town of Montello kind of getting the brunt of it right now. Seeing very broad rotation throughout Montello. Haven't seen any reports of a tornado. I have not seen any reports of, except for the wall cloud we saw about 30 minutes ago. And that was kind of when I was in the Endeavor area. Haven't seen anything since then. So no reports of anything at the moment. Keeping a track on Twitter. Keeping a track with the National Weather Service. Not seeing anything precedent right now. Alright, sorry you guys, just kind of trying to, this is one-man operation, so, as I'm searching, it's kind of hard to say stuff and search at the same time. I'm going to highlight the area of most interest right now, and that is, right now, it's definitely farther to the south than it was before, and that's very common when storms try to restructure themselves, because they go through their phases, their updrafts and downdrafts, they interact with each other, and sometimes they get, muddled out, and that storm wants to continue. It has a life of its own, and, it tries its best to get all the moist, warm air into the system as it can. But this is definitely the area that I would be interested in now. A little bit farther south and now definitely to the east of Montello. But that doesn't mean if you live in the city of Montello or the town of Montello, you should be seeking shelter right now. If you live in Princeton, you're up next. So if you live in Princeton right now, you should be gathering your storm, prepping for going into shelter. You should be in shelter, but getting ready to go in the basement or into the interior part of your building. Try to get many walls as possible between you and the outside. Don't be opening windows. Don't be doing anything like that. Grab your pet if you can, but, especially if the storm is on top of you, it's you need to be concerned about and no one else, because It would suck if there was a tornado going on right now, and you were trying your best to save your pet or whatever. Not to say that pets aren't important, but if that tornado is coming right at you, seconds matter. Seconds matter. So it's very important that you seek shelter immediately, especially if you are right now south and east of Montello. That is the strongest area of circulation by far. And if you're in Princeton, you better be getting your stuff ready to go down into the basement. It's currently 6:40. The tornado warning is right now in effect until 6:45. We're trying to see if they continue it or issue a new warning for possibly Green Lake County. This is kind of... Green Lake County is still under the Milwaukee-Sullivan control, or area, I should say. So they would be issuing the warning. But I'm sure they also have to coordinate with Green Bay's office as... as it moves farther to the north, too. So anyway, Marquette County right now under the gun. Let's circle the area of most concern right here, kind of south, and we just got radar paint. I'm seeing definitely strong rotation again. Once again, hard to say if this is reaching ground level, as the radar beam is pretty far up in the storm at this point. But definitely something if you are in Montello, and if you're in Princeton right now, you are under the gun. And let's look at reflectivity. Yeah, a little bit more linear than it was before, meaning a little bit more of a line, but that certainly doesn't really mean much, especially if you have strong rotation. But we don't have that classic hook echo that we were seeing before, and we can put that in motion, and you can kind of see that classic hook that kind of then the storm looks like it's trying to... And you can even kind of see it's developing a little bit to the south. Let's see if I can stop this. Okay, good. You can kind of see... Sorry, I'm trying to find... just kind of notice the most intense, the pink areas, they kind of move. They were north and west of Montello, and now they're kind of... obviously north and east, but a little farther south than they were before. So definitely the storm is definitely trying to reorganize itself. But the other problem too is definitely very high up in the storm system. And matter of fact, I'm just going to switch radars real quick and see if that makes a difference. I think Sullivan is definitely the closer one, but you never know what might be out in front. Yeah, not as pretty, but that couplet is still there, and we can switch to velocity. Oh, and it looks like that tornado warning is going to be allowed to expire, but doesn't mean that the rotation isn't there, and you can kind of see it. It's a little bit different between the two radar sites, but still some rotation there. If you are in Marquette County, Green Lake County, definitely be taking shelter because this is still a strong storm, but the tornado warning has been allowed to expire. I'm guessing the National Weather Service, it's definitely, the rotation isn't as tight as we saw it about 30 minutes ago. So I'm guessing that's kind of the main reason why they're letting it expire. The couplet just isn't as there as it was before. Anyway, but we still got a severe thunderstorm warning. Oh, I guess that's being allowed to expire too, as that's rolling in. But the tornado warning has now been allowed to expire. Just reading up, sorry you guys. There's still very broad rotation, but I suspect that there was no indication of a tornado on the ground, either by people observing the tornado or... as I was saying earlier, it's not as tight as it was. But still, a very powerful storm. Let's go back to reflectivity just to show that there's definitely probably some hail in the storm system. See the bright pinks. Right now, if you're in Princeton, I would be seeking shelter, not just because of the low threat of a tornado at this time, but definitely because of the possibility of hail and large hail. All right, you guys, I am so sorry. I gotta walk away for 1 second, and I will be right back. Just here we are taking a look at the storm system that's currently in Princeton, or heading towards Princeton. If you live in Princeton, be seeking shelter right now, but a tornado warning has been allowed to expire. The severe thunderstorm warning was allowed to expire too. And it looks like they are not reissuing the severe thunderstorm warning either, which is a little interesting. I'm sorry, I'm trying to see if I can't get my web server to... No. Anyway, all right, I'll be right back, you guys. But right now, the threat for a tornado is very low. Obviously, they allowed the tornado warning to expire, and they even let the severe thunderstorm warning expire. Doesn't mean that large hail, and we're still seeing a very broad rotation, so it doesn't mean that that can't tighten and redevelop. But right now, it looks like the storm is in a phase that, yeah, it just has lost its good rotation signal, as the National Weather Service just kind of tweeted out. So, all right, I'll be right back in 1 second. We're going to stay live on the air, but I do have to walk away for 1 second. Be right back, you guys. All right, back, you guys. And my computer is humming along. Sorry if you hear that. Oh, it looks like we had a couple of you. 2 viewers, 3 viewers. Well, I'm glad you guys stuck around and watched my coverage. Once again, just putting that out there. Right now, we are looking at a storm system that is between Princeton and Montello and Marquette right now. No signs of severe weather at this point. No severe weather alerts. There was a tornado warning that just was allowed to expire. Still seeing very broad rotation, but nothing to indicate that there was a tornado on the ground. So they allowed the tornado warning to expire. Still keeping an eye on it. Beyond that, possibility of hail, but obviously it doesn't look like at severe weather limits. According to the National Weather Service, no reports received of a tornado, and it has lost its good rotation signal, which is why the storm was allowed to expire. Well, I think at this point, I'm going to keep a look at, continue to watch the storm, but at this point in time, we are going to stop streaming, and I can gather my thoughts and try to fix this web server in the process. I see it just did not want to update the tornado warning. It's weird. It had the severe thunderstorm warning, and it looks like it's updating, but anyway, that's never good when the most important warning wasn't showing. Anyway, so I'm going to try to fix that. If another tornado warning gets issued, or even a severe thunderstorm warning, I'll try to stream again, especially if there's another tornado warning. But right now, no tornado warnings, no severe thunderstorm warnings throughout Wisconsin. We're still keeping an eye. If you're in Princeton, I would still be seeking shelter just because lots of lightning and the possibility of hail. Anyway, this is Matthew Biddorf, and if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to hop in the chat, and I will have a Twitter at some point, but I actually have a handler. I just haven't been able to integrate it into my system yet. So, all right, we'll see you guys if there's any more severe weather.